You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Eternal Tournament Series. This is Season 1, Invitational 2018. We are here in the booth. I am Gabe, also known as Calimdir, and with me is LocoPojo breaking down all the action.
Yeah, we got a lovely matchup here today. It is Flash versus Unearthly. Flash is looking at a Praxis mid-range deck with your standard big stuff, World Bear Behemoth, Heart of the Vault, and Predatory Carnosaur. 4 Obliterates in here just to sort of fix up some problems, the Lunar Magus and Crimson Firemaw and all of that good stuff. Like, this is just like all good stuff all the way down. Very simple curve. 4 Torches, 3 Purifies to make sure that you can get your early stuff in, Xenon Initiations to make all of the stuff deal damage. Just a good amount of interaction and good stuff. And on the other side, we have Unearthly with Argenport mid-range, which is rolling the 2 Crown Watch Trader, 4 Impending Doom setup that we've seen before, along with your usual Tab Rods and Commandos and Enforcers and all of that great things. The new Rip Knife Assassin is making up that 2-drop slot, and yeah, overall, it's been a very solid deck, and it does very well, as I recall, against the Praxis mid-range archetype.
Yeah, so as this is round 5, we have already seen 2 players in Ferretsbro and Kamado 4-0 and make it take their spot tomorrow, and 2 players get eliminated in Yamster and the Trastero. So here we are watching a 1-3 matchup. That means the loser of this matchup will be eliminated and will not make day 2. And these players are both players for Team Owls and Dragons, although I think they have changed their name now, so someone can correct me on that. But Team O&D.
Is that what it meant? I always read it as OMD, and I was thinking Orcs Must Die. But okay, well, Owls and Dragons, there you go.
Yeah, so team kill right here for you guys. This is the kind of action we like to watch on stream. Like you said, Praxis versus Argenport. Typically, Flyers usually beats time mid-range strategies that don't have silences. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Shadow here, plus Sabos and Bloodletters and Unseen Commandos. Lots of stuff going on for Unearthly. And looks like he's got a reasonable start on the board. He can't get Unseen Commando down on 3, which is always nice to set up. But Auric Interrogator with a Bloodletter is certainly the second best thing.
Yeah, this is a great hand for Unearthly.
I think it's looking pretty good. Flash does have access to a torch, so he can kill the Auric Interrogator. And once...
Not for long.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Sabo takes that out. So now Flash has actually got kind of a slow setup. He's missing power as much as Unearthly is. And Unearthly can either establish the Interrogator here, or he can establish the Unseen Commando. Opts for that Interrogator. Knows the torch is in there.
Yeah. Unearthly, actually, player of the year last year, took 2nd place in the World Championships. So this a very experienced player, and I really like the Interrogator play here because card advantage is going to be relevant, and also you kind of value the Unseen Commando more. If one of their units is going to get removed, you'd rather it be the Interrogator, and then just have the Flyers in the late game once Flash has exhausted all of his interaction.
Yeah, it's no secret why Unearthly is such a strong player. He basically only plays extremely consistent decks. He goes for, the standard Recano, he goes for the Argenport mid-range, and then we see that he has played those decks so many times that he's just one of the best players in the world with whatever deck it is that he's actually running. He'll run that deck for seasons at a time, and then he'll just be so practiced with it that he'll know every possible iteration and combination that can come up and just do amazing things with it.
Yeah, and here, Unearthly, I think Unearthly was on the play as well, but just the tempo advantage Unearthly got here is something I'm not sure Flash can come back from. If there was a Carnosaur coming out next turn, then maybe there would be a chance, but I think it's just going to be too late here, as Unearthly has lethal several ways next turn.
Yeah, this practice deck has a pretty slow setup, and not getting anything to deal with the early game is a really big deal. Unearthly leading with that Sabotage to take out the torch means that the tempo is stacked against Flash from the start. So with Unearthly hitting each power drop specifically on time, he was able to play just a ton of threats, and didn't even have to play a Commando, I think.
Yeah, not only did Unearthly play Sabotage in the first 2 turns, and then a 3-drop into a weapon into an Impending Doom, but specifically the units that he played were some of the largest statted units in his deck. like Recurring Nightmare, or excuse me, Impending Doom is just so much damage. Had that just been like
Oh, it's a
Crown
nightmare for
Watch
Flash,
Trader,
at least.
there might have like the Purify might have been able to answer the trader, or had there just been 2 Valkyrie Enforcers or something. But Impending Doom, which is a Nightmare type, all right, was just too much for Flash.
Yeah, it's a pretty big setup there. I feel like Unearthly's very favored in these matchups. We'll look at some
Yes.
sideboards and see if there's anything that can come in for Flash, but the main problem here is that Unearthly's got both the early game tempo and the possibility of creating very, very, very large units, which stall out the Praxis deck later in the game. So it can be pretty tricky, and we'll see if he can recover from it. But Flash's deck is a little bit lower on interactivity and relies on the value of its mid-range creatures, which if Unearthly's doing the same thing, it's going to be a little bit hard to deal with.
Yeah, but in the sideboard, though, Flash does have some answers. Flash did come prepared for this matchup. And Flash is also running a build with 4 Crimson Firemaw and 4 Obliterate, which is more than usual for either of those, which I really like here.
Yeah, I did Flash's Praxis Displacers here. Those are really cool.
Yes, the Praxis Displacers are huge. The extra Purify is huge. The extra Xena Initiation is all right as well. And the Scorpion Wasps are also great.
Oh yeah, they're really strong against any mid-range matchup. It's pretty hard, in particular, for aReNGee to deal with them, since they often have to waste, at the very least, on Annihilate, as opposed to, you know, your standard Torch situation to get rid of the Scorpion Wasp. So yeah, it's a very, very good card to be putting in.
Yeah, and looks like players are already back in. Both of these players on the same team, very practiced with both of these decks, know exactly what to sideboard against. I mean, both players are playing well-known decks, so there's definitely a sideboard plan prepared for this. It's not like, how do I sideboard against this Crown deck? You know, none of that going on. So Unearthly, not as great of a start here, having to Varus favor Justifying Power, but if he continues to rip power off the top, he'll be able to curve out very well into either Impending Doom or Tavrod after this Unseen Commando comes down.
Yeah, he's going first, which is something of a bonus, with Unseen Commando into a silence on the first Titan and a silence on the second Titan. He's actually going to be able to set up a sizable amount of sort of aggressive flying units, and that's actually not a bad deal. The main problem here is that Flash is sitting on 3 Sandstorm Titans, which I think is about the best hand he could be picking up.
And a Firemaw. And then this Valkyrie Enforcer is unfortunately not what Unearthly wanted to be playing here. A little does he know, the 3 Sandstorm Titans waiting in the wings for Unearthly's flyers.
Yeah, Unearthly can throw a Valkyrie Enforcer here to knock a flyer out of the air and pressure. And he's probably pretty comfy with that, but with the Sandstorm Titans coming down, this is going to be rapidly less fun of an adventure. Sandstorm Titan does not deal that well with a 6/6 unit off of a Bloodletter, but Flash can at least double block that unit and then play another Sandstorm Titan, finally start to stabilize.
Yep. Unearthly might just play Bloodletter on Interrogator next turn and chill out, try and just draw cards and win the game that way. But I think Xena Initiation is going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, he's looking at a lot of trouble here. Flash can Xena Initiation to get himself a little bit of a bonus. He can play the Dawnwalker as a follow-up just to keep himself in cards, and looks like that's exactly what he's going to go for, except he's going to go Initiation onto the Dawnwalker to get that repeatable killer effect.
Yeah, so both of these decks have super linear strategies, and the way that this is playing out, it really, really looks like Unearthly is going to lose this game. The only way Unearthly wins is if he draws cards like Annihilate and Slay off the top for basically the rest of the game. And that's what's happening here. So now Flash is back in a precarious situation.
Yeah, the rest of the game is 2 turns now, so Unearthly just needs to rip 1 more removal card. There it is.
There it is. Wow. 2 Annihilates in a row for Unearthly. That's going to be 2-0 for the aReNGee deck. What a game.
Yeah,
Holy
top deck
cow.
master there. Very, very strong stuff. Flash goes down for the count, and we are now looking at no game 3s. Flash is out, and Unearthly remains in.
So your player of the year still in the race for day 2. Flash, unfortunately, falls to 1-4, so that ends his invitational run. But, you know, there's always next invitational. And also did very well to get up to this point. We're looking at backups right now. We're thinking about a couple different matchups. But wow, what a game too! That was really close. Had Unearthly played that a bit slower, I'm not sure he would have won. He could have answered the Titans, but man, just those two Annihilates off the top. Wow.
Yeah, going super aggressive was definitely the play there. I think that if Flash had developed out of Sandstorm Titans and like just continued to pressure with those and make sure that he always had some sort of like backup plan, he could have eventually valued out with the Dawnwalker there, but he chose to opt for the Dawnwalker strategy, which is certainly a very, very good value-oriented strategy. Wasn't quite as good against all of those flyers once the removal just sort of popped into Unearthly's hand.
I think Flash played that really well. I mean, once you get down that Titan and you're just removing one of Unearthly's threats every turn, especially if you get Unearthly down to the point where even if they kill your Titans, you don't matter, or you don't lose. Like if there had been one turn where Unearthly missed anything, and there were just two Titans on the board, just like one extra turn to get that second Titan, then the removal is whatever. You have a buffer where you can then turn the game around. And remember, Flash's units all deal 5-6 damage, so that game turns around very quickly. But wow.
I like that Sandstorm Titan as a safety play, but I think that both options are perfectly viable. Very, very good rounds.
Yeah.
And very good play from both players.
Yeah. So I think we're still just setting up the backup matches, but so let's take a look at some of the standings right now. So once again, our players that have already made it to day 2 are Kamado and Ferretsbro playing that Skycrag deck we saw, and Kamado playing his patented Fire Justice Shadow removal pile. And we have another result in. Let me just check if any of these players were three wins. I do not believe so.
Yeah, our 4 players that have been eliminated so far on 4 losses are Flash, of course, Elissimo, the Tristero, and Niamster. So none of these players are going to day 2, and there's only still 2 people guaranteed to make it.
Yep. So very early into this round, that was a super fast matchup. So as more matches finish, we'll get back to you with those results. But for now, oh wow.
Looks like our backup match may be done. We're trying to get into Magikarp versus ManoS, but they may have 1 round left. And if that's the case, then we'll definitely go in on that round and see what we can pick up. Beyond that, we're just looking around.
Yeah, I'm currently taking a peek on the ManoS Magikarp match, but I don't have any info on the score or anything like that. But
yeah, I'm guessing they're 1-1. It looks like ManoS is looking at a huge Valkyrie, and Magikarp is looking at a huge Heart of the Vault. And with a Xenon Obelisk up, I think he's in a pretty rough situation. ManoS is not looking all that good.
Yeah, it looks like Praxis versus the Justice Primal Fire plate deck that we've seen, which, by the way, is very, very good against aggro, and I think a big part of why we've been seeing a lot less of it, the combination of Hailstorm in seeing a lot more play, and then a lot of these life-steal heavy decks, just like Unseen Commando decks, have really pushed a lot of the aggressive decks out of the meta.
Yep, we're seeing a little bit less of all of those, and yeah, looking here, it's not looking like ManoS is seeing a lot of help here.
Yeah, he needed to draw 2 damage off the top, either in a weapon or a charge unit or something, or multiple blockers, because he had 6 damage in the air. But with this, it looks like he's just dead on board.
Yeah, that's a problem. He is actually 0-1 down, so this is going to be the deciding round for him, and it looks like he will not be able to win it. He's got Vanquish for the Heart of the Vault. Once that happens, I think he's still in a lot of trouble against sort of the bigger stuff.
Well, he can take this, excuse me, he can live by taking this Obelisk down to, never mind, there's a Heart of the Vault. That's going to be lethal no matter what, and ManoS scoops it up. Magikarp takes it 2-0 over ManoS.
Yeah, So Magikarp takes that game, and I don't think we have... Oh, wait, we may have one other game, Harad versus Jez, and if we can take a peek in on that one, we'll give it a shot. All right, I've got Harad and Jez. What's currently going on is Jez is holding the Heart of the Vault and a World Bear Behemoth against Harad's Champion of Cunning with the full package of Flying and Aegis. Harad's holding all the cards right now. Jez actually has a Zindel's Gift on his face, but he's also got a Flamestoker in play, so he's playing a reasonable amount of threats every turn. We don't have a hand cam for Jez, but Jez doesn't have a hand, so I think we're okay there. Duraka is looking at a stun on the Heart of the Vault and also is able to block the Infernuses, which seems like a perfectly safe play as long as Jez doesn't find a torch all of a sudden.
Yep.
Jez playing Temple Scribe into Seed of Impulse, not seeing quite what he wants to win here.
Yeah, now that this Duraka is down, there's an answer to this this Flamestoker, because previously every single card in the Feln deck just has 5 toughness. But anyways, didn't matter as Jez falls. We caught the end of that one for you guys. You saw all you needed to see.
Yeah, Harad is now 2-0, so we're just jumping into the ends of all of the matches. I'm guessing that is our last backup for the round, but nonetheless, those are some pretty good games, and we at least got to see one big full game and a couple of dramatic finishers.
So that's we have 2 more players who have finished their 4 wins. That'd be King Breath at 4-1 and Trumpets at 4-1. Trumpets, who we saw earlier.
Trumpets, there you go. All right.
Trump is playing that Icaria blue deck that we saw earlier. So exciting stuff. Let me just take a brief moment to tell you guys about the ETS recap show that happens on Tuesdays. Normally it's just a weekly recap show that Counter Bob and Rekenner do, called Best of 3, which we do right here on this channel. But assuming it's here this week, it'll be all about the Invitational, which will be super exciting. So I recommend everybody come down and watch it if you're free on a Tuesday and you just haven't had enough Eternal action. So go over all the tournament meta and the results again in a sort of podcast type format right here on this channel, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, could be fun stuff.
Yep. So that'll be it for our coverage of round 5. We'll be back in round 6 to bring you some more elimination matches.
All right. See you folks then.